Staz Charlie, a powerful yet somewhat useless disgusting otaku vampire who reigns over his own domain with his fangs, or at least, he would if he cared enough about his responsibilities. In this world, there are many species, including goblins, werewolves, dragons, and even vampires. The anime begins with a young vampire boy named Staz from the demon world. Staz is different from his race. Unlike his elders, he does not profess to feed on human flesh. Instead, he is in love with human innovations, specifically Japanese games, anime, and manga. He wishes to visit the human world someday, but visiting it from the demon world is quite expensive. Staz's subordinate, Dek, informs him about the presence of a human girl in the streets, and he orders Dek to bring the girl to him. The demon world is divided into several territories led by powerful demons, and Staz is the leader of this territory. Staz excitedly orders to produce a human girl before him. He is overwhelmed to meet a human, particularly a girl, and his heartbeat rises relentlessly. The girl is very scared by the demons around her, and soon she is brought before Staz. He can't believe his eyes. The girl is very beautiful. Staz feels sucked in her deep eyes, and he can't hold himself from confessing her cuteness. He is so overwhelmed by her presence and enthusiastically asks her about anime, manga, and games. Their interaction is interrupted by a call. Dek informs him about a territory crusher and requests Staz to leave everything and rescue his territory. It's an attempt to trespass into his territory. In the demon world, whoever defeats the boss of a territory can rule over it. Staz reluctantly makes excuses to stay with the girl, but eventually, he has to leave to maintain his territory. Staz enters the streets with a bang. The vampire boy has arrived to retain his territory. Meanwhile, a carnivorous plant sneaks into his room in his absence. The territory crusher appears to be a deadly demon. Dek also warns Staz to be vigilant. Staz walks through his attacks unhurt, and his one solid punch gets the better of his opponent. Despite being a vampire, Staz has the ability to walk into the sunlight, and he can smash the heart of his enemy in his fist. By defeating the territory crusher, Staz has saved his throne. When Staz returns to his place, he finds that Fuyumi has already fallen victim to a carnivorous plant. Staz slices through the plant to save her, but he only manages to retrieve the skull and clothes. And well, let's just say, Fuyumi's not exactly thrilled about being dead. Embarrassed, Fuyumi hides her body and pleads for clothes to cover herself. However, all Staz can provide is a shirt and boxer. Fuyumi does not look comfortable and feels skimpy in such a short dress, but she will have to wait until her clothes are soaked. Staz is confused. He no longer feels attracted to her. It turns out that Fuyumi has transformed into a ghost, which is why Staz lost the earlier attraction he had for her flesh. Devastated by her death, Staz vows to bring Fuyumi back to life, armed with nothing but the hazy memories of an anime he once seen. Fuyumi is not confident about Staz's commitment, but she does not have any other choice but to believe in him. She takes Staz to the place which brought her in. Staz cannot believe that he is witnessing a black curtain, a highly sophisticated form of magic used by spellcasters to travel between the human and demon world. It does not appear often in the demon world either. He wonders why this black curtain is still open. Staz decides to seize the opportunity to travel to the human world with Fuyumi. But first, Fuyumi must get tested. He takes her to the nearby Mamjiro's cafe. She evaluates that Fuyumi can travel to the human world, but she is unstable to stay in the human world for long. Meanwhile, Dek brings Yoshida, who aspires to join Staz. Yoshida has the ability to take any shape, which solves Staz's problem. Yoshida can take his shape until Fuyumi's return from the human world. Eventually, Yoshida is tasked with acting as Staz until he returns, and they both leave for the human world. Staz walks into Fuyumi's room, the place where she entered the demon world. He is disappointed by its jail-like outlook. Fuyumi is not amused by his remarks. She prefers good housekeeping and spends most of her time at school or studying. Therefore, she keeps her room clean to avoid any distractions. Staz accompanies Fuyumi to school. Fuyumi fears that others might find out that Staz is a demon. She tries to stop him, but Staz is adamant about going with her. In the drawing room, her father, Mr. Yanagi, questions about the boy Staz. Mr. Yanagi grinds his teeth in anger and scolds Fuyumi for not showing up to school yesterday. To help Fuyumi avoid further questions, Staz uses a spray secreted from his fangs that can alter human moods. The spray proves very effective, and Mr. Yanagi's anger instantly disappears. It's his first time experiencing the sun in the human world. The intensity of the heat here has a stronger impact than in the demon world, and it's pretty uncomfortable for him. But this does not decrease his excitement for the human world. He has dreamed of being in Japan all his life. People stare at Staz for his evident excitement. The roads, traffic lights, and vehicles, everything in this world fascinates him. Fuyumi is back to her normal life. Saku, her friend, asks her about her absence yesterday. However, another classmate, Mayu, is convinced that Fuyumi was in class. Their argument raises questions for Fuyumi, like whether her impersonator was present in school yesterday. Ever since she set foot in the demon world, everything seems to worsen for her. Fuyumi helplessly cries and blames Staz for everything. Staz snubs her for acting naive and pleads with her to stay calm. But Fuyumi is further frightened when her body begins disappearing. Staz knows it's happening because unstable and weak demons cannot stay in the human world for long. Staz offers his blood, which will help Fuyumi sustain energy for a while and resist her body from disappearing. Fuyumi hesitatingly sucks his thumb and regains energy. Her vanished body normalizes. Fuyumi feels dizzy and her body temperature instantly rises, yet she finds Staz's blood oddly satisfying. Staz is determined to bring her back to life. Staying in the human world drains magic, and Staz is low on magic now. He decides to head back to the demon world to regain energy. He cannot save Fuyumi or claim his long-desired territory of the Cyber City in such a weak state. Staz asks about Fuyumi's mother, but she doesn't know anything about her. She never saw her since she was old enough to understand things. In Fuyumi's room, they find a girl and simultaneously ask, "Who are you?" She introduces herself as Hydra Bell, the owner of the black curtain they used to travel. Hydra Bell has the power to travel through spaces in search for treasures. Staz fears that Bell scripted this whole mess just to trap him in the human world, and ultimately snatch his territory. However, Bell does not bother with any of his accusations. Conversely, Bell herself is looking for the person who stole her curtain. She blackmails Staz to pay her 60 million yen for using her curtain, or else she will inform the authorities that Staz left his territory and entered the human world. Bell uses her frame and teleports Staz before he can complete his question. Angry over her blackmailing, he tries to smash her, but Bell dodges his strikes every time. Bell then points a gun at Fuyumi, compelling Staz to obey her orders. She asks him to bring a specific item, and she would let Staz get back to the demon world. With no other option left, Staz adheres to her instructions and begins the search for that specific item. Bell attempts to budge the curtain but fails. Only the person who stole the curtain can move it now. She believes that the one who stole her curtain must be very strong, and she wishes to marry such a strong demon. The specific item they need is an exclusive panty held at the Uniqlo store. Staz fights the owner to win the panty, and with one precise blow, he throws the owner yards back. Petrified by Staz's power, the owner instantly gives him the panty. It turns out that Bell was never interested in the panty. She staged this fight to test Staz and determine if he is the powerful demon who stole her black curtain. While Staz was busy searching for the specific panty, Bell and Fuyumi developed a good understanding, and they have become good friends now. Bell informs them about the Book of Human Resurrection, which can help Staz and Fuyumi's resurrection. However, she tells that she sold it in the west of the demon world, which is now the territory of Wolf, Staz's old friend and current rival. They decide to return to the demon land and begin their search for the specific book. Wolf is a ruthless ruler, continuously defeating bosses and expanding his territories in the west. In Uniqlo, Bell admires Fuyumi's sense of dressing, completely disregarding Staz's stories about Wolf, his old friend. Bell declines to help Staz in reaching out to Wolf. He attempts to force her, but in an embarrassing battle with Bell, he ends up injuring himself and even punches himself. In the demon world, Mamejiro is very pleased with Staz's absence and hopes that things will remain that way. However, Staz suddenly appears out of nowhere and smashes the slandering Mamejiro into a window. Bell becomes suspicious about Staz, believing that he is hiding some serious magic. Staz plans to leave for Wolf's territory, and Mamejiro tries to escape the trip. However, Staz insists on bringing her along since her third eye will help him identify the upcoming challenges. Deck has called the fastest feet in the demon world for their travel to the west, but there is a challenge in the journey. They will have to cross 3 different territories unnoticed in order to reach Wolf's territory unharmed. Wolf, along with Toby and Keiji, heads for a journey. His subordinates are tired, but Wolf forces them to continue walking. Mamejiro's eagle eye can see Wolf and his men in the middle of the road, and shouts to stop the carriage. Wolf and his men also sense a lightning-fast carriage approaching them. If the carriage doesn't stop, it may run them over. With little time to react, Wolf jumps over the cart and splits it in half with a single swing of his sword. Fortunately, Staz and his friends remain unharmed in the attack. Everyone expected a fight between 2 fierce bosses, but shocking those around them, Wolf and Staz greet each other like old friends. Staz asks for the Book of Resurrection, but Wolf denies any help. Finding a single book in his vast territory is not an easy task. Wolf controls most of the western territories and doesn't want to assist without receiving some favor in return. They decide to settle the matter in the old-fashioned way, through a competition. Staz suggests that if he wins, he will get the book, but if Wolf wins, he will get Fuyumi. Honestly, I would have just gave up the rest of my life if I just got betted on over a freaking bowling match. Mamejiro and Fuyumi are shocked to know that Staz has put Fuyumi at risk for a bowling match. However, Staz is confident in his ability to win. Bewildering everyone, the battle is changed from bowling to boxing. Both contestants enter the ring with the common aim of winning. Staz is determined to bring Fuyumi back to life, and he pledges that he will not let Wolf win under any circumstances. Fuyumi serves as the ring girl for this match, wearing a dress that exposing every curve of her body. Wolf can't control himself, falling for her beauty, and makes a pledge to give his all for Fuyumi. Round 1 begins and Staz clinches with Wolf in the very beginning. But this does not stop Wolf. He lands swift and precise blows, throwing Staz on the floor. With the counting reaching 10, everyone including Belle thought Staz is defeated, but he gets up and continues to survive. This looks like a one-sided fight with Wolf's punches leaving Staz no time to settle. Staz has the natural healing power, but Wolf's movements are lightning fast and he is not letting Staz heal. But as the match progresses, Staz manages to dodge deadly attacks and Wolf begins to exhaust himself, with sweat pouring out of his body vehemently. In a smart move, for once, Staz had put a vampire tooth in Wolf's neck. As a consequence, Wolf's every hit resulted in a magic drain. Now it's time for Staz to get his payback. His single backhand jab lands Wolf on the ground. The fight begins to intensify. Staz warns to zip through Wolf and kill him if he gets up to fight back. Burning in anger, Wolf has transformed into his deadliest mutation. He accuses Staz of being selfish and hypocritical. The words have tormented Staz. He wants to smash Wolf's heart, but Fuyumi jumps in the fight. She slaps Staz and dresses down both friends to control the anger. Belle teleports them both and calls off the match. The crowd wanted the match to continue, disappointed with Belle ending the match at such an intense moment. The crowd began throwing whatever they had in their hands. However, quickly after the fight, their dumbasses found out that Belle has double-crossed them both. She told Staz that Wolf had the book and on the other hand convinced Wolf that Staz wanted to cheat and should convert the bowling match into a boxing match. Turns out Hydra Belle was carrying the book all this time, making both of them look like a complete dummy. She takes the book out, and they hastily snatch the book from her, just for their dumbasses to not understand any of the words inside the book. It's composed of coded symbols, thinking only the author can read what's inside it. They decide to look for the author, but shockingly the author is Staz's elder brother, Brass, D-Blood, who lives in the Acropolis, the place where only the strongest demons are allowed to reside. They all think it'll be easier for Staz to find the resurrection procedure and motivate Staz to visit the Acropolis and look for his brother, but Staz shivers in fear. Acropolis is the place where only demon kings, rulers, and lawmakers of the demon world reside. They are the royalty that watch the demon world. An ordinary demon can't enter the Acropolis, but Staz is a vampire descendant, belonging to a noble bloodline. Therefore, he can visit the Acropolis, although he does not possess the return ticket and he may need Belle's special magic to enter the Acropolis. But Staz is afraid of facing his brother after their last encounter. Furious with Staz's one after another pretext, Wolf loses his temper and grabs Staz by his collar. He coerces Staz to visit the Acropolis, where Belle will assist him in his safe passage. Belle thanks Wolf for throwing Staz straight into her room, as Tobai and Keiji bring clothes for Wolf and Fuyumi, making Fuyumi look like a wonderful princess, while Wolf looks like a total dork like yourself. Staz is relaxed after a hot bath, thanking Belle for letting him use her bathroom and enjoys a cold drink. Meanwhile, Wolf mentions that he was also banned from the Acropolis because he is not a pure blood. He is a mongrel of demon and werewolf. That's why Wolf has been trying to conquer all the territories to earn his place in the Acropolis. Fuyumi applauds Wolf's effort. In the room, Belle pursues to seduce Staz. She enters the room in a short revealing dress, waving her body to tempt Staz, but his virgin ass couldn't care less. Coming straight to the point, Staz inquires Belle, what does she want? Belle explains how she is suspicious of him and can feel a suppressed power residing inside his chest. Pushing her opais against his arms, she asks him to show his true potential. It should have been me. Staz jumps to the other corner of the room and asks Belle to come straight to the point, as Belle is bursting in laughter. Belle sheds light on his unnatural and irregular magic flow like something is leaking from a container. Staz dozes off in the memories of childhood when Braz performed cruel experiments on him, from exposing him to deadly leeches to keeping him in the bone-chilling environment. He tells her how his brother Braz manipulated him in the name of experiments to kill him, but Staz somehow always survived, until one day, when Braz fired a bullet inside Staz's chest and locked his powers. Now only Braz has the keys to his powers. The tense environment is eased when Belle pops out the smartphone to order food. Amazed by the technology, Staz is all over her phone. Belle can now easily conclude that it was not Staz who stole her black curtain, since he is a little not right in the head to handle such sophisticated magic with his current powers. But Belle is a treasure hunter and now she is curious about what's hidden in his chest. Belle challenges Staz to a fight in her grid room. Stuck in the grid room with no way to exit, Staz gives up the fight, mocking Staz for being weak. Tormented by the humiliation, Staz challenges to beat her once he unlocks his full potential. Belle has been successful in manipulating Staz. She has convinced Staz to find the key to his locked power. Later, Belle takes him for a delicious sushi dinner. Belle can't resist adoring Staz. She does not understand what made her fall for a man weaker than herself. On the flip side, Fuyumi has been acting dozed off. Mimjiro believes she is too tired, and Wolf carries her to the room, but suddenly her body begins to disappear. Hydra leaves Staz near the Acropolis entrance, where she decides to create a situation where Staz will have to remove the bullet anyway. Staz's creepy vampire self crawls past the bushes to stay unnoticed, only for his younger sister to find him with a cute welcome home gift. Well, if you count almost dying to your own sister with an axe and saying you're not welcomed here, then yeah. She asks him to leave Acropolis. Meanwhile, alarmed by Fuyumi's disappearing legs, Wolf carries her to Frankenstein, who is specialized in demon physiology. Staz's sister Liz D. Blood, who is currently furious at him, vehemently attacks Staz, doting the deadly attacks to save his life. At this point, I'm at the point where I just considered Staz isn't good with girls. She is the warden of the Lizard's toy box, the biggest and deadliest prison of the demon world. She imprisons Staz to bring judgment. However, he can escape by challenging the zombies and winning against them. Staz fights for his freedom, but the zombies toss him aside. Staz considers that he may just die before Fuyumi if this keeps up. Well, I think she is already dead, but that's just me. As Frankenstein carefully examines Fuyumi, and his opinion shocks Wolf. Normally demons carry a single kind of magic compatible with their race, but Frankenstein believes Fuyumi is a combination of vampire and ghost. She is carrying magic of two different races, and if she can seize control over his vampire magic, she is a possible rival for vampires. Staz trying once again, and well, it's the same outcome. Braz approaches his younger sister while she enjoys cocoa, questioning about the reason for incarcerating an inmate without his authorization. Staz attempts to fight the zombies but fails several times, and the zombies complain to Liz regarding the new inmate's stubbornness. Back to Fuyumi. If Frankenstein's assumptions are true, Fuyumi could be the birth of a new hybrid demon. She can be the future of the demon world. However, it is essential to continuously provide Staz's blood. Wolf doesn't like the idea, since Staz will die if too much blood is sucked up by Fuyumi. However, Fuyumi at her current level can only be healed by Staz's blood. Braz approaches the new inmate to find out it's only his little brother beaten up by zombies in the Challenger's ground. He shoots Staz right in the chest, but surprisingly Staz regains his energy with the bullets. Instead of wasting his time on sibling gimmicks, Staz directly questions the process of human resurrection. But since they are brothers, they are both a little dumb, so Braz just thinks he's asking for an autograph. Belle shows up to check on Fuyumi, revealing Frankenstein is her regular customer, and he is hiding the complete truth. There is another way to cure Fuyumi, by removing the vampire magic from her body. Wolf hates being lied to. He punches Frankenstein on the floor and asks to spit out the alternate methods. The bond between brothers, jokingly teasing Staz if it's a girl he is trying to revive. But Liz gets jealous. Long story short, she always resented Staz for being neglected. Her elder brother has always preferred Staz over her. Even when he abandoned himself, she could not get the attention she wanted. Liz burns down the zombies to claim herself stronger than Staz and refuses to accept him as the noble demon. Liz is furious with Braz defending Staz, and she attacks Staz in anger. Braz agrees to help Staz in human resurrection, but he must do a favor in return. He will assist Staz if Staz can eliminate the artificial demon running havoc in the North Demon world. Its existence is a potential threat to the demon world. Frankenstein also agrees to cure Fuyumi, but Wolf has to address Frankenstein's mistake. He must beat the artificial demon Akim Papratin, which Frankenstein created by implying his ancestors' practice, but Akim went rogue. Akim is the greatest masterpiece he ever produced, very strong and very lethal, and isn't a virgin like Staz. Wolf decides to hunt Akim, but he's on a time limit to defeat Akim in half day, till the concentrated magic portion runs out, which is vital for her survival. Interestingly, both rivals are after a common target but with different goals altogether. Braz tries to clear the misconceptions regarding why he shot a bullet in Staz's chest. It was not to kill his young brother Staz, but to save him instead. Braz shows him a reflection of his power, a 5-meter long rock that Staz converted into a tiny ball in his childhood. Ever since his childhood, Staz had extraordinary powers, but he had no control over his powers. Staz exhausted his powerful ugly ass whenever he used his full potential. Braz feared if this continued for long, he might lose his brother. It was his fault that his experiments unleashed Staz's full powers at such a young age. Hence, he had to put a limit to Staz's power. But now the time has come for Staz to unleash his true potential. However, Staz plainly rejects the offer. He is comfortable with limited abilities, and he is only concerned with the human resurrection. His rejection did not please Braz. He orders Liz to bring out the zombies. Braz orders them to kill his brother, and zombies pounce at him. He has put Staz through a challenge. If Staz wants to survive against the zombies, he has to opt for his full potential. The boss of the North Territory thinks Wolf is the territory crusher, and attacks to retain his reign. The huge pig puts everything into the attack, but Wolf proves stronger. A wild swing of Wolf's rod sends the pig smashing into the wall. Suddenly, the pig's body begins to decompose and the artificial demon Akim pops out of it. With no other options to survive, Braz removes his bullet instantly and Staz falls to the ground like he lost his life, but his heart begins to rather beat freely. He gains the full potential of his powers and transforms zombies into skeletons in seconds. Staz is free to go as a noble demon on his absolute peak of powers, though he has to return a favor to Braz before human resurrection. Braz wishes to test his powers, and Akim is the perfect opponent for him. Staz heads to the North Demon world searching for the deadly artificial demon. Akim's strength is extraordinary, wielding magical abilities akin to the toll of a bell, shaping spaces and launching assaults effortlessly. Yet, even his formidable powers are met with resistance from Wolf. Wolf, whose resilience proves a formidable opponent. As Wolf anticipates Akim's moves, their clash results in a grievous injury. Akim's arm is broken. But Akim is not bound by mere physicality. His reliance lies in his mastery of magic, rendering bones and muscles inconsequential in battle. With lightning speed, Wolf charges forth, his very being undergoing a transformative shift. Fangs lengthen, limbs bulk up, and ears sharpen into points as he embraces his true essence, the relentless and monstrous Wolf. With a ferocity unmatched, Wolf unleashes a barrage of razor-sharp claws, aiming to dismantle Akim's defenses with each swipe. Meanwhile, Belle materializes in the hospital, seeking a clandestine exchange with Frankenstein. Aware of Frankenstein's desire for Wolf's defeat to exploit Fuyumi, Belle urges him to divulge all. Wolf's onslaught appears relentless, each strike aimed at rending Akim's form asunder. Yet, even as Akim's neck is sent soaring, the battle is far from over. For Akim is no ordinary adversary, he is a phantom, capable of reconstructing his very being through the intricate mastery of special magic. Thus, as Wolf believes victory is within his grasp, it becomes clear that this confrontation is merely the prelude to a protracted and exhausting conflict. Belle, being the most useful partner ever, creates a space window to cheer for Wolf. The fight is momentarily interrupted when Staz, being a complete idiot, crashes himself into the building. Ignoring Akim's presence, Staz and Wolf indulge in a heated argument. They begin attacking together, but soon Wolf leaves because he has drained his magic. He can't risk his life fighting such a strong opponent on low magic. It's Staz versus Akim now. Staz blasts Akim to a space where he can fight him with ease. Belle is keeping a close eye on Staz's significant increase in powers. She believes, following her promise, Staz has unlocked his true potential. Staz proves a better opponent of Akim. His fierce magic blows have shattered Akim's defense. Staz unleashes his ultimate power and strides toward Akim. He has been transformed into, well, a Super Saiyan, and let's just say, he said get that copyright BS outta here. Staz realizes that he has been imposing his anime idol during this fight and decides to fight in his unconventional manner. Meanwhile, Braz has been watching the battle closely, delighted that his brother's strength is far more powerful than he managed. In the hospital, Belle immediately closes the window. Realizing that Staz has unlocked his hidden power, he now has the power to blow them away along with Akim. Staz shreds through Akim's body in no time and ends up with Akim's head in his hand, but Staz is not finished. He wants vengeance on his terms. Staz allows Akim to reconstruct again and closes his fingers around Akim's heart. Staz's grip tightens, and with a brutal, crushing force, Staz smashes Akim's heart. Braz, being right about his brother's powers, he decides to manipulate Staz into helping him. As the night is over, Wolf briefs him about Fuyumi depleting health, stating that she may disappear quickly if they don't find a solution, but before helping her out, Wolf wants to settle his score against Staz. Interestingly, Belle saved Akim at the last moment and brought him back to Frankenstein shredded into pieces. She hands him over to Frankenstein and in return asks for the person who provided him with Akim's body. Frankenstein doesn't know the person. Despite his efforts, his research was at a dead end. He couldn't manage to find a sustainable body for Akim until one night, when he received a box entailing the body of a special magician placed at his doorstep. And he utilized the body, so Akim is most likely the thief who stole her black curtain. As Liz takes Akim and Frankenstein in her custody for disrupting the peace, Wolf explains that ever since Staz fell from the Acropolis, he always lost his fight against Staz, always having insecurities with Staz, only wanting to dominate Staz, but even the young and weak Staz had to pity Wolf. But Wolf departs as he is already wounded and intending to beat the vampire boy someday in his life and claim his dominance. In the hospital, Gyro and Fuyumi anxiously wait for Wolf to return and bring her the solution. But surprisingly, Staz enters the hospital with Braz and introduces himself to Fuyumi. Braz begins to get closer to Fuyumi, but Staz holds his hand and warns him not to do anything fishy. If Braz does not help him out, he will continue to help her with his blood until he finds the resurrection process. Staz offers her blood to stabilize Fuyumi, but she is hesitant to suck his thumb in front of everyone and pleads with him to do this in a corner. But Staz puts his thumb in her mouth, and once she tastes the blood, she can't turn back. Braz disapproves of this practice. It can lead to potential complications. They get back to the East Demon world, where Staz is the boss of this town. Braz wants to inspect her original body. As Liz and Braz are served delicious food in the cafe, Belle is intrigued by Braz's remarks about Fuyumi. How can he be important to her? Warning her to be watchful. If Braz told her anything, she should expect an underlying catch. She hands Staz a bell for Fuyumi and departs. Fuyumi should ring this bell 3 times if she ever needs Belle. Braz uses gun-like equipment to extract a sample of Fuyumi's magic, but he requires Fuyumi to be stripped down. Staz is frustrated with this awkward demand. He does not trust his brother. Resurrection happens by converting magic into souls and placing it into a body. Awkwardly, the sample has to be extracted between the breasts at the very right moment. Fuyumi regains consciousness, but before Fuyumi could process anything, Staz lifts her shirt and Fuyumi's chest is now bare naked. Braz quickly extracts the sample and hurries for testing. He intends to use his brother's magic present in Fuyumi's sample, whereas Liz stays with Staz till he gets back. Fuyumi joins the cafe and prepares delicious human world food. Liz loves her food. Braz generously provided Liz with a return ticket to the Acropolis and entrusted her with the task of staying by Staz's side, ensuring his focus remains undisturbed until he permits her return. Despite her disappointment in feeling unappreciated by her elder brother, Liz endeavors to fulfill her duty. Meanwhile, Staz goes out of his way to ensure Liz's comfort, offering her a selection of manga, anime, and games to enjoy. Immersed in the world of anime for hours on end, Liz begins to see Staz in a new light. Initially, Fuyumi had her doubts about Staz, but as time passes, she comes to recognize his kindness and brotherly care towards Liz. Grateful for Staz's efforts to keep his promise and aid her revival, Fuyumi expresses her heartfelt thanks. To commemorate their bond, Staz presents Fuyumi with a cherished bell bestowed upon him by Hydra Bell. Liz hesitates at the thought of sharing a bath with Fuyumi as she's never bathed with someone before. However, the experience turns out to be surprisingly pleasant. With her eyes closed, Liz surrenders to the soothing sensation as Fuyumi tenderly rinses her hair, deftly preventing any soap from stinging her eyes. Accustomed to solitude, Liz finds Fuyumi's presence to be a comforting refuge, like a gentle breeze in the midst of her solitary existence. The next morning, Liz discovers a note beside her bed, sparking immediate concern. Rushing to inform Staz, she instinctively dismisses the notion of Fuyumi leaving them, trusting her keen senses. Staz wastes no time, commanding his subordinates to launch a search for her. Liz reveals Braz's covert action of implanting a tracking device inside Fuyumi and sending her to keep watch over them, igniting Staz's suspicions towards his brother. Determined to find her friend, Staz pledges all his resources in exchange for any lead on Fuyumi's whereabouts. Liz seizes the opportunity, utilizing the return ticket to Acropolis to embark on a quest to find her missing friend. Meanwhile, Dek and Mamjiro uncover a vital clue, a sighting of a stranger having breakfast in the street, who then departed southward shortly after Fuyumi's disappearance. Liz undergoes questioning by the guards stationed at the entrance of the Acropolis as they inquire about her purpose for departure. Inspector Burroughs takes charge of the situation, guiding Liz to a designated area. Burroughs has been pursuing Liz's brother for numerous infractions of entrance and exit protocols, yet he continues to elude her grasp. Determined to apprehend him and bring him before the Acropolis' ruler, known as Wolf Daddy, Liz harbors resentment towards him for the harm he inflicted upon their family. However, her plans take an unexpected turn when she discovers Frankenstein conducting experiments on Akim within Braz's laboratory. Despite Burroughs' impatient summons, Liz utilizes her unique dispensation magic to restrain him, preventing him from further mischief. Braz, displeased with Liz's failure to stall for time, orders her to remain in the mansion until his return. Overwhelmed with guilt for disappointing Braz, Liz breaks down in tears. She reaches out to Staz, informing him of Braz's arrest, but her efforts to locate Fuyumi, whom she believes is in a perilous situation, prove futile. Lost in the streets in her search for Fuyumi, Liz encounters an irritating stranger who leads her to the territory's boss, a composite figure known as Snowman. Inquiring about the stranger, Staz learns that he is a transporter with unusual abilities, residing in the enigmatic Dimensional Highway, an elusive realm beyond mortal reach. To have any hope of finding him, Staz must navigate the treacherous streets before attempting to traverse the Dimensional Highway. Meanwhile, Fuyumi finds herself confined in Nell's clandestine grid room, longing for a meal that Nell neglects to provide. Frustrated by the absence of his cherished bowl lost within Nell's domain, Fuyumi threatens to involve the authorities if it isn't returned. In a fateful moment, Nell's attempt to retrieve the bowl inadvertently frees Fuyumi, allowing her to ring the bell of distress. With both Bell and Liz now aware of her location, Liz promptly relays the information to Staz. As Nell realizes the gravity of his error and attempts to flee, he is intercepted by his sister Bell, who demands the release of Fuyumi. Shockingly, Nell reveals that their mother was behind the abduction, leaving Bell stunned by this revelation. As Staz arrives at the scene, Bell takes matters into her own hands, allowing her brother to slip away. However, she swiftly turns the tables on Staz, incapacitating him and ensnaring him within her grid room. When Staz awakens in the grid room, he confronts Bell, accusing her of endangering Fuyumi. His words strike a chord with Bell, shattering her composure and igniting a fiery anger within her. Driven by a mix of heartbreak and frustration, Bell challenges Staz to a duel, offering to lead him to Fuyumi if he emerges victorious. Meanwhile, Nell transports Fuyumi to Hydra, a realm distinct from the rest of the demon world. Initially caught off guard by Bell's maneuvers, Staz gradually adapts, analyzing her tactics as the battle unfolds. Eventually seizing the upper hand, Staz captures Bell. In a desperate bid to escape, Bell inadvertently leaves behind her pants and backpack, unable to retrieve them without exposing herself. Despite her reluctance to let Staz discover the treasure trove of emotions hidden within her bag, Bell concedes defeat, concealing her vulnerability. Overwhelmed by his triumph, Staz inadvertently exposes Bell's naked form, unable to resist admiring her beauty. However, Bell's embarrassment quickly turns to fury as she unloads her gun on Staz, causing him to suffer severe injuries. Despite his weakened state, Staz presses on, determined to rescue Fuyumi. Unaware of the turmoil within Belle's heart, he continues to express remorse for any pain he has caused her, their journey to the entrance of Hydra punctuated by their ongoing argument. Meanwhile, memories of Braz's father's death at the hands of Wolf Daddy wobble through his mind when Braz is escorted to the king's palace. Chief Goal snubs Inspector Burroughs for insulting Braz and carries him inside, ensuring there is no resentment of the past against the king in Braz's heart, and Braz ascertains it, and even if he does, the collar around his neck will abstain from him. In the dimensional highway, Nell escorts Fuyumi to his home. The height of the voyage is terrifying for Fuyumi. Moreover, she is frightened by the huge three-head dragon staring at her. She immediately wants to reach the mansion. At the entrance, a man looking familiar to her father Yanagi guides Fuyumi inside. The resemblance is so strong that she unconsciously calls him Dad. The king enjoys golf with beautiful chicks around him. He immediately orders everyone to leave for a secret conversation with Draz. Belle's clothes fit her perfectly as if they were stitched for Fuyumi. Nell says their mother chose all these dresses for Belle. Staz and Belle also enter the mansion. Nell is terrified to see Staz with her. Conversely, Fuyumi is delighted to see Staz, but he denies to recognize her till they exit this place. Belle and Staz are here as lovers. Nell and Fuyumi are left dumbfounded, not because they are lovers, but because Belle shot his dumb ass right in the head, with no hesitation. Belle explains that it's part of her plan to help Fuyumi sneak out with Staz without letting her mother know. Nain calls upon Fuyumi. She hugs Fuyumi as if she was eagerly waiting for her arrival. Fuyumi thinks she knows her for a long time. The servant recognizes Staz. He knows him because Braz, Madame Nain, and Braz are good friends. Chief searches through Braz's data, and he believes Braz has scripted his arrest because he wanted to see Wolf Daddy, considering their past. This secret meeting intrigues the chief, and he wants to further dig into the matter, revealing that Braz put away Akim, who went rampage down below, but the resemblance of Akim with this aide Pantomime bothers him, who was sent on a top secret assignment but he went missing. Braz confesses that he was behind the death of Pantomime and he is here for a declaration of war. He will dethrone the king soon. King is confident that there is no one to threaten his throne, but Braz challenges him to produce his competitor and regain the throne which once belonged to them. King accepts the challenge and allows Braz 3 days to complete the challenge. On the return, Burroughs impatiently waits for Braz to come out. Braz deceives their dumbasses by pricking his finger on the nail and creates an emergency to take his collar off. He uses the lights out leaf on Burroughs and escapes. Seeing the blood all over, the chief thinks Braz has killed Burroughs while escaping and calls special dispensation magic, the angry spear, to hunt Draz. In deceiving Inspector Burroughs, Braz has lost significant blood and he is low on magic now and he has to rest somewhere. The angry spear chases him and with his precise strike Braz falls into the palatial city. Nain plainly rejects the idea of resurrecting Fuyumi and offers her blood instead. Staz is perplexed. He can feel a clear similarity between Fuyumi and Belle's mother. Surprising everyone in the room, Nain reveals she is actually Fuyumi's mother too. She narrates the event of how she met her human doppelganger in the human world at Okonomiyaki restaurant, the place where Fuyumi's mother used to work. They saw each other and their bodies merged into one. Now she has memories of both lives. Braz calls Liz, telling her that he is being chased by some off-brand wannabe Pokemon and that he needs his help, saying they will arrive at her favorite ice cream stand in half an hour. Liz always waits for a moment when her brother can count on her. She is on her way to rescue her brother. Despite changing his appearance, the chief's angry spear still manages to track him. Braz runs into the streets, but Chief strands him in a street. Braz is low on magic and can't resist Chief's magic for long. He concodes a plan to manipulate the Chief and lower his anger to a point where he can attack back. Staz finds himself engulfed by an ominous shadow looming overhead, his heart frozen in fear as he gazes upon the towering form of a three-headed dragon. This formidable creature is none other than the Hydra Head, Belle's father and the esteemed master of dimensional heights. His intentions are clear: to claim Fuyumi as his own. Driven by a deep-seated fear of her father, the only man who has ever inspired such dread in him. Meanwhile, chaos erupts in Staz's absence as invaders encroach upon his territory. The rift between humans and demons, born from the tragic merging of their wives 14 years prior, has left scars that still bleed. Fuyumi's father, Yanagi, made the ultimate sacrifice, choosing his daughter over his wife, in a world where selfishness reigns supreme. Staz holds immense respect for this act of selflessness, a rare virtue in the demon realm. Yet, the Master's apprehension grows as Braz unveils his plan to resurrect Fuyumi, driven by the lingering trauma of his father's death and his thirst for power. Although he possesses the means to dispatch Staz effortlessly, he knows that the vampire is their only hope for Fuyumi's return. Thus, the Master's interrogation begins, probing Staz's true motives and the depth of his connection to Fuyumi. Does he harbor genuine affection for her, or is his interest merely driven by a primal thirst for her blood? In the midst of uncertainty, Fuyumi herself struggles to define her feelings for Staz when confronted by Belle's inquiries. Amidst the turmoil of conflicting desires and uncertain loyalties, the fate of of Fuyumi hangs precariously in the balance. Master breaks the microphone and disconnects communication for Fuyumi's mother. Being the father he is, he carries Staz to his room, and Staz is overwhelmed with human products like PlayStations, manga, and others. He decides to let him go if Staz can follow a few conditions. Staz must swallow a dumpling made of cursing herbs and pledge twice that he will seek Fuyumi's permission before leaving, returning her home and before sucking any of her blood, and will only proceed if she allows him. Fuyumi's father does not want Yanagi to lose his loved ones again for his family. He wants to allow Fuyumi full control over her decisions. After taking the pill, Staz opens his eyes and finds Fuyumi sitting beside him in her undergarments. Chief successfully halts Braz's advances, only to have Liz burst onto the scene wielding a fiery axe, whisking her brother away in a blaze of dramatic escape. Meanwhile, Fuyumi finds herself inexplicably transported to the entrance, her journey interrupted mid-outfit change in Belle's room, now seated beside Staz in a whirlwind of confusion. Amidst the chaos, Dek, Yoshida, and Mamejiro valiantly battle to defend the territory. Yoshida undergoes a monstrous transformation into a fearsome dinosaur, sending would-be intruders fleeing in terror. Their heroic efforts manage to secure the territory in Staz's absence. Consumed by guilt for leaving Fuyumi vulnerable, Staz seeks her forgiveness, offering his shirt as a modest cover. He earnestly inquires about her desire for resurrection, to which Fuyumi affirms her determination, longing to reunite with her hero, her father. As they brace themselves for the challenges ahead, the curtain falls on this anime adventure, with Staz embarking on a mission to bring Fuyumi back to his territory for her resurrection. And thus, the stage is set for a new chapter of thrilling escapades and supernatural shenanigans. Staz and Fuyumi stand in front of the entrance to the southern demon world, which is connected to the dimensional highway. Staz briefs that their way will be to the demon world's Acropolis, where his brother is. While they talk, the leader of a vampire hunter crew, Team Fearless, observes them, verifying them as targets. Meanwhile, Staz's brother receives a message informing him about Staz and Fuyumi escaping. All members of the Team Fearless stand while holding nameplates like some criminals. The members complain about not taking down a single vampire even though they're vampire hunters because their leader is a fraud. The fraud in question defends himself by saying that they haven't taken down anyone because they're too elite to have any kind of opposition. However, the target this time is a real deal, and if they take him down, they will become really famous. The members, having zero respect for their fraud leader, ignore his speech completely. Hit by the bitter reality of his problem, he yells at them and leaves to spy on the target alone. He jumps out of the plane and decides to activate his activity in order to make his team members finally listen to him. With the way he talks about his ability, one would think he would become a Super Saiyan. But instead, he turns into a vulnerable-looking cat. Meanwhile, his team members on the plane discuss how they have to put up an act in front of their leader every time, so he does his part first. Staz and Fuyumi do a little shopping and sit at a place to eat. Siam Kid, the Team Fearless leader, spies on them from nearby. Fuyumi asks Staz if she can suck a little bit of his blood, and he refuses instantly. A cat appears beside Siam Kid and shows off his catnip stash. He convinces Siam Kid to get high with him on catnip, and as a result, he loses track of his target. Staz explains to Fuyumi why he can't give his blood to her unless it's an emergency. However, it is an emergency this time because her limbs have started to disappear. Seeing her condition, he instantly bites his thumb and motions her to suck on his blood. After a little hesitance, she latches onto his thumb like a bee and sucks the life out of him. Siam Kid returns to his team and lies about attacking the target and almost taking him down. He's not fooling anyone, though, because his team instantly figures out what happened. The next day, Staz and Fuyumi make their way toward the demon world's Acropolis. Fuyumi is tied by a rope like a slave. Staz points out how Fuyumi has been acting weird since she woke up, and she replies that it's awkward after she acted so boldly yesterday. Suddenly, she spots Siam Kid's cat form nearby and makes her way towards it to pet it, but Staz halts her and tells her that it's a cat from the demon world. Siam Kid doesn't give up even after being busted and tickles Staz aggressively. Staz throws him away, and he turns into his real form, shocking the other two. Staz gets into offensive mode after recovering from his shock and attacks him. However, Siam Kid easily dodges the attack, shocking Staz even more. Right then, the rest of the Team Fearless makes a badass entrance. They get to arguing as soon as they appear. Seeing them distracted, Staz decides to run, but Siam Kid instantly senses his intention. He explains that his ability is called Reader, which allows him to read a person's movements if he has a piece of the victim with him. In this case, he has Staz's hair in his mouth. The next team member, Roy's ability, is a chat room, which allows Siam Kid to share his reading info amongst the team through a chat box. After that, the rest of the members, Jasmine, Sam, and Rand, attack Staz. Staz fights all three of them simultaneously, while also carrying Fuyumi. However, the Fearless team manages to snatch her away from him and leaves instantly. After they leave, Staz feels a sharp pain in his chest because of a mild attack from before, suggesting that he's not healing. The vampire hunters are hiding Fuyumi in Rand's body. Staz searches for her, cursing himself for not keeping her safe when Jasmine and Sam attack him. They manage to land hits on him, giving him more injuries. seconds. He's on the verge of giving up when he suddenly hears a loud gunshot. It's from the gun he bought Fuyumi a day before. Staz starts running towards the source of sound, so fast you would think he's my dad going to get the milk, and reaches the place where Team Fearless is hiding. The remaining 2 members appear right after and stab him with their weapons. Unfortunately for them, Staz has figured out a way to defeat them. He has sealed his own wounds, and to restore his strength, he drains magic from the 2 of them. He says a cocky hero line about wanting to protect people who are precious to him and inquires about Fuyumi. Siam Kid doesn't even put up a fight and blurts out the information instantly. Staz takes Fuyumi out of Ran's body, and they have a little reunion moment as Roy assures his leader that Sam and Jasmine are still alive, meaning it's not over yet. Staz tags along with the vampire hunters to their ship and makes them serve him. He is fully recovered because of the magic sucked from Jasmine and Sam. Roy thinks there's still a chance to defeat him because the target is on board with them. Meanwhile, Staz thinks he's lucky to get on this ship because now it's easier for him and Fuyumi to trespass into the demon world's Acropolis. When the airship enters the Acropolis, a guard gets notified. Staz holds Fuyumi with his magic and prepares to jump. Roy tells his leader that he has snuck a tracer on them so he can know where they land after jumping. However, Staz jumps on the extended rope of the guard's attack and uses it to get into the Acropolis. Having his plan failed, Roy comments on how much of a fool the guard is for letting that happen.